Travis, I told you, Marcus Rashford had to be playing in this European Championships. You can't argue with me now about how good he is.
When are you going to drop this?
I'm never going to drop it. He really should have been in the team, and we saw Anthony Gordon ball out for 5 minutes, which is not great at all. There we go, guys. We are back again for another fantastic conversation on Friday Night Counter Attack. We're here, we're rocking, we're rolling, we're in the studio, and we're here talking about the England group stage at the European Championship. We need to get to the bottom as to why England are so bad in international group stages. I mean, I remember when we used to beat Iran like 6-2, 6-1 or something in the World Cup, and that was only a year and a half ago. What's happened to Gareth Southgate's England? What's happened to the players that have been in this side before? Why are they complaining to the media? Realistically speaking, we should be complaining more because this group of players are not good enough to be hitting back at the media.
My initial thoughts were, halfway put me to sleep. It was a really drab performance, too safe. Again, I don't think we need to play two holding midfielders against a nation like Slovenia. With all due respect to them, they haven't got the quality to really hurt us. But no, it was very uninspiring. I hope that in the round of 16, look, we're through. That's the important thing. I hope in the round of 16 we see a little bit more from England.
That's okay, because for me, I'm just surprised at how Gareth Southgate has left some of these big players at home and now he's being found out. He really should be apologising for what he's done to this team because he's getting some of these amazing players playing out of position. They're not doing well. It's embarrassing to see that England are the most boring team to watch that have qualified for the round of 16 at the European Championships this summer. It's not great. We've had some of the best players in their domestic football across the season. Harry Kane balling out for Bayern Munich. Phil Foden, Premier League Player of the Season. Jude Bellingham, Ballon d'Or contender. Trent Alexander-Arnold playing as a midfielder, and he threw him under the bus. I'm not a fan of what Southgate did to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Before the tournament, I told you I want to see Trent ball out. And realistically speaking, he had a 5-10 minute cameo at right back, and he was looking a lot more comfortable in his natural position. Let's hear your thoughts on Trent.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for him. Declan Rice has spoken about it in the media this week about how
he speaks a lot. He advertises a lot as well.
Yeah, he's spoken a lot about how half the country has been begging for Trent in midfield, and then we've been slating him. Now he's playing in midfield, but to be fair to us as England fans, it's not worked.
Yeah.
But I do think you're right. I think Southgate has thrown him under the bus a little bit. It almost feels like the blame has been put on him for how we played in the first two games because he was the only change made.
Yes.
He was subbed quite early in the Denmark game. He was then dropped for the Slovenia game. But we know there's bigger problems at hand. We know that left-hand side is not working. It's not producing anything. They're always cutting inside. It's too easy to set up against. Trent wasn't the only issue, but it feels like it's the only one that we're addressing so far. And I think we're a little bit too slow to react to the issues in this squad. If we're not reacting quicker in the round of 16, it's going to cost us, really. I'm
really worried about this England side, but someone who I'm not worried about in this England side is Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo is balling out for England once again. He came on for a 45-minute cameo replacing Conor Gallagher, and he showed Gareth Southgate, this is why you don't put me on the bench. This is why I'm here to keep the ball. If you want someone to get rid of the ball, put it in the stands, give it to Conor Gallagher, even though it's not his game, because a lot of Chelsea fans have been saying he's more of an attacking midfielder. He's played as a second runner into the box under Mauricio Pochettino this season. But Kobbie Mainoo has to be the one who receives the ball from defence. He allowed Declan Rice to be a bit more free. I'm really worried about what Gareth Southgate will do next because I'm looking at it thinking Kobbie Mainoo balled out, Cole Palmer balled out. Some of these young players are not getting the respect they deserve. And it's been a European Championship where the young players have been balling out across the tournament. Lamine Yamal balling out for Spain. We've seen Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala ball out fantastically. We've seen it in some of the smaller nations as well. And we're seeing someone like Switzerland doing well because of their young strikers up front, which is great to see. Travis, talk to me about Kobbie Mainoo. Talk to me about what you expect from him in this tournament, because for me, he should be starting. We had Nico Milana here recently saying, yeah, Kobbie's the man, give him the keys. And to be fair, Nico's not been proved wrong so far.
No, look, he's had very little to work with in regards to minutes so far in this tournament, but the minutes that he has had, he's really impressed and he's proven why he deserves to be in the squad. The question I've got for you, Hamza, is in terms of the build-up of the midfield in our squad, we've got Rice in there who's always going to start, of course he is. Trent has started a couple of games so far. We've got Mainoo and Wharton in there. Should we have left Gallagher at home and use that place in the squad for another left back, because now we've got a left back issue that we cannot solve.
No. For me, if we're looking at that place in the squad, you normally have 2 players per each position, right? So for me, you've got Trippier at right back, Walker at right back, Konsa at right back, Joe Gomez has gone as a backup left back to Luke Shaw. Realistically speaking, Luke Shaw shouldn't have gone. Luke Shaw should not have gone. Even if he's fit for the quarterfinals, he may just play 1 game from the bench, and we could be out in the quarterfinals. Gallagher had to go. It'd rather be Gallagher, Ward-Prowse, or for me, Ross Barkley as a centre midfield. Maybe Ruben Loftus-Cheek, but Gareth Southgate doesn't rate Serie A football, as we know already, with Fikayo Tomori and Ruben Loftus-Cheek being omitted from the squad. Realistically speaking, Gallagher was always going to be in the squad because in England, they prefer energy to brains. When you're thinking about it, when you've got energy, you've got passion merchants like Henderson, like Calvin Phillips, like Conor Gallagher. When has it worked? It's worked for Calvin Phillips because he had Declan Rice next to him holding down. But Declan Rice can't do everything at once. He's turning more into a number 8 day by day. But he's not the one that's going to be receiving the ball from the centre-backs. Jordan Pickford loves to hit it long, loses the ball at the halfway line because Bellingham or Foden aren't tall enough compared to Slovenian defenders, Danish defenders, Serbian defenders as well. This is where Kobbie Mainoo comes into effect. This is where Adam Wharton, like you said earlier, this summer comes into effect if he's brave enough to play them, if he's brave enough to start them as well. Kobbie Mainoo has to start the next knockout games for England for me. He's been absolutely fantastic for Manchester United. He can receive the ball to feet. To answer your question, Gallagher still should have gone, but not in place of a left back. They should have got rid of Luke Shaw from the beginning. But my retort to you is, you see Rodri balling out for Spain. We've seen Jorginho ball out for Italy, win the European Championships, of course, as well. This is what wins in international football. We see ball-playing midfielders who can control and dictate the game. Why did England never learn their lessons, Travis?
Look, we've historically been lacking that.
Yeah.
You know, in the 2018 World Cup, we got to the semi-final, and I think as a nation, we said, if we'd had a player like Modric in that semi-final...
We had Modric and Rakitic in that team.
Exactly. If we'd had one of those players...
Exactly, yeah.
We all feel like we'd have won that semi-final. And, you know, in a one-off game in the final, who knows what would have happened, but we'd have been there. And now we have players... Look, I'm not going to compare Mainoo or Wharton to Modric because of what he's achieved in the game.
No comparison.
But
Modric
in terms of a style of midfielder that we have been lacking, we've now got that, and we've been begging for it and crying for it for the last 6 years.
And come September, when we see the Premier League again, we'll be like, oh, why didn't we play him more?
Yeah, exactly. And we've now got not one, but 2.
Yes.
And we're not giving them the chances to show how much of an impact they can have on this team. And look, like I say, I hope that we're a little bit quicker to react now going into the knockouts, and I hope that he realises the mistake of trusting Gallagher in the midfield, and I hope that he does put Mainoo in there from the start, or Wharton. I like either of them, but one of them has got to start alongside Rice. I think that's just undeniable at this point.
Absolutely. If you agree or disagree with Travis and I, comment below who should start in midfield in the next game for England. Moving on to the positive, Travis, talk to me. Marc Guehi, John Stones, Jordan Pickford. For me, they've been positives. Bukayo Saka in the first game, of course. I don't see much more than that in terms of positives. What do you see?
Yeah, and look, the positives that we have, in a way, are negatives, because the positives that we have, you've just listed there, John Stones, Marc Guehi and Jordan Pickford.
Yeah.
3 defensive players. The defensive aspect of this squad is not where the majority of the quality lies. We have, like you were saying earlier, the PFA Player of the Year in England, La Liga's best player last season, the Bundesliga top goal scorer last season. We have Arsenal's wonder kid on the right wing. We've got Cole Palmer, who scored 20-odd goals last season.
Sabitzer doing that celebration, I loved it. That was fantastic. He did that at the Olympic Stadium in Berlin to win the game against Netherlands, and to see Sabitzer do that, I was like, it should be Cole Palmer doing that, but we've not seen it yet. He's only doing it on FIFA for me right now. Sorry, EA 24, I should say. EAFC 24.
Even the positives and negatives, because all of our best performing players this season, this summer, in this tournament, have been defenders. And like I say, that's not where the quality of our squad lies. We're not a Netherlands where probably 2 or 3 of our best players are defenders.
Yeah.
We're not a France where...
It's turning out to be.
Exactly, but that's how it's turned out to be this tournament. And it's very disappointing to see, but we wanted to stay positive as much as possible. Marc Guehi has been absolutely unbelievable. He's barely put a foot wrong.
Dare I say Maguire's not getting back into that starting lineup?
Possibly not, no.
I think more aggressive, and they're actually faster recovering from the back.
Yeah, 100%. I think that he's shown that he can not only deputise for Maguire, but replace him in the long term. Obviously, Maguire is upwards of 30 now. We're going to have to start thinking of who the replacement is going to be in the long term for Maguire. I don't think there's any better option than Marc Guehi right now.
Do you think Marc Guehi's going to have Euros tax? When he has a good tournament, his value's going to go up 15, 20, 25 million?
100%. Yeah, he was a very highly rated and probably was going to be a very expensive defender anyway.
Why did Chelsea sell him to Crystal Palace? I don't get it.
Honestly.
I don't get it at all.
But now that he's done it on the international stage in front of the whole of Europe, that's only going to increase his value. So if anyone wants to buy him this summer, it's going to be a hell of a lot more money than it was going to be 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Fantastic. So for me, I need to talk about, obviously, we've talked about our positives, we've talked about our negatives. Where do you see England going with Gareth Southgate in the knockout tournaments? Because we've got our trusted board here. The formation won't change because Gareth is too scared. He's the kind of guy to get planning permission on building a sandcastle, Travis. He ain't great at all. It's really, really bad with Gareth Southgate. We've complained about Ronald Koeman for the Netherlands. We've complained about a few managers as well previously, which is great to see. But there's so much more that Gareth Southgate can do. So this is my predicted starting 11, and Travis will give his opinion on it as well. So if we're looking for a game against maybe the Netherlands or maybe Turkey or maybe Ukraine in the round of 16, we don't know at the time of recording. Stick with Pickford in goal, Mr. Reliable, fantastic for England. Right back, I'd go for Kyle Walker, John Stones, Marc Guehi and Trent Alexander-Arnold at left back. Trippier's been good defensively, but has offered nothing besides one cross where Kane or Gallagher could have got on the end of it against Slovenia. Then a midfield duo of Declan Rice and Kobbie Mainoo. Then an attacking three gets a bit tricky here. I would still drop Phil Foden. I know people don't like it because he's England's golden boy, but it's 24 now. He should have really done more for his national team. And people saying him being compared to Wayne Rooney, not a chance. Jude Bellingham in the 10, Cole Palmer on the right, and I'd like to see Bukayo Saka on the left-hand side as well. Be more of a service winger, crossing balls into Harry Kane, so Harry Kane can stay in there, Bellingham can run into there as well. Cole Palmer, we saw that cameo, Travis, against Slovenia. Look how much we've robbed ourselves. And I'm going to use the term, England have robbed themselves with some of the talent we've left on the bench this tournament so far. Would you agree?
He looked good against Slovenia. I totally agree with that, of course. What I don't agree with is moving Saka over to the left-hand side.
I think they can still rotate. Saka, Palmer, they can still float. Like we've seen that all tournament long of Foden going to the left, Bellingham going to the left as well. I think as a starting position, Saka on the left still gives that width just in case Trent needs to drop in.
It makes sense, and I think that if you're giving me either Foden or Saka on the left, I probably would take Saka. But so far this tournament, our biggest gripes with the England selection has been players playing out of position. Foden on the left wing, not where we want to see him. Trent in midfield, hasn't worked. Trippier at left back, doesn't work. Why are we now trying to fix that issue by putting Saka, who is predominantly a right winger and has played there for the majority of his time at Arsenal? Why are we then trying to fix that issue, players out of position, by putting him on the left-hand side?
So the only natural left winger we have is Anthony Gordon. Would you start him?
I think we have to. I think other nations would. I think it's...
We've seen what Austria did. They're playing people in their natural positions. They're balling out with the energy that they have. Would you stick with something like that as opposed to trying to fit Foden in out of position?
I think we have to. I think if you have multiple players who are top class in the same position, you can't just shoehorn them in. It's not the best way to get the best out of your 11. I think that an Anthony Gordon in his natural position at the top of his game could well operate better on the left-hand side than a Phil Foden shunted out of position could.
It's had 3 games to change.
It's
had 3 games to change Phil Foden, and it's not really done much. Phil Foden still it is for me. I'm still not appreciating what it's done for England so far because it's not appreciated the fans as well. And one last topic on England before we wrap up the show is basically just about what do you expect from England in the knockout stages? Because for me, I don't see much change happening. This is more of a dream of a fan, of a podcaster, of a YouTuber, to see players playing in their natural position. Players who Gareth Southgate said himself in a press conference, we're picking them on form. But it's not pick them at all. They're barely getting game time. It's disrespectful to see Anthony Gordon get only 5 minutes in the game against Slovenia. What's your lasting comment on England?
Yeah, unfortunately, I totally agree with you. I would love to see 2 or 3 changes to the 11 and a total change in the way that we're playing. But if I'm completely honest, when we get to the round of 16, I'm terrified that we're going to play the same 11 that started against Slovenia. That would not surprise me.
It's true.
I think that he's too safe, and I think that's what he's going to end up doing. He's going to play the same 11, and if he does, then let's hope we've got someone like Slovakia who we can hopefully squeeze past like we have done in the groups. Because if we play anyone with any proper level of quality, a Netherlands, a Belgium, anyone, they're going to knock us out. So
That's true.
Let's see.
Message to the England players as well. I mean, you can't complain about how bad you're playing, and you can't complain about us complaining about you, because you've had it all your own way so far. We've backed you all the way. England's coming home. It's coming home all the time. You had the chance to win at Euro 2020 against Italy. You didn't do it. You bottled it in Qatar as well, after all the controversy surrounding that tournament from an English point of view as well. England need to do better. They deserve to be... Well, England fans really deserve to be the ones celebrating on the 14th of July in Berlin. But the England fans are going to be let down once again by Gareth Southgate's awful tactics, by the players thinking they're better than what they are. Realistically speaking, we may not see England for another 2-3 tournaments challenged because of this gripe that this manager has. And it's really bad to see. Agree or disagree with Travis and I? Like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Goodbye.